Helicopters, trucks, and farm equipment are just some of the new releases this week in the simulation world. Hi there folks, my name's NovaWrap and welcome to the NovaWrap, your one-stop location for your simulation release news and goings-on from the week that was. So here we are on Sunday the 20th of November for another action-packed episode, and we're going to jump straight into it with a release actually which actually goes back a little bit, it goes a little over a week, but it is pretty important that I wanted to make sure I covered it. So just in case you've been living under a flight simulation rock for the last few weeks, you may have missed the fact that Microsoft Flight Simulator released their latest update celebrating 40 years of the franchise, which is the longest running gaming franchise that Microsoft have in their stables. Now, in this release, also known as Sim Update 11, includes a massive amount of new content to be delivered to us as virtual aviators, including a stack of new aircraft, the introduction of a native helicopter modeling and helicopters for the first time in this iteration of the sim, along with gliders, as well as a number of retro sort of features and classic activities from previous flight sim titles. So with this come 7 classic new aircraft, sort of recanting the history of flight simulation and aviation in general, including the first heavier-than-air powered aircraft, the Wright Flyer, an iconic aircraft of the mail runs throughout US airmail history, the Curtiss Jenny, the Ryan NYP Spirit of St. Louis, the Douglas DC-3, the venerable DC-3 and Dakota, the Grumman G-21 Goose, the de Havilland DHC-2 Beaver, and the ginormous, and for the longest time the largest aircraft, sadly no longer the case, the Howard Hughes H-4 Hercules, also known as the Spruce Goose. Along with these classic aircraft come 2 helicopters, introducing us to helicopter flight dynamics natively in the sim, with the delivery of the Gumbali Cabri G2 and the classic Bell 407, which is sort of paying homage to the helicopter of the FS9 and FSX of the Bell 206. It also includes 2 new gliders, giving us gliding options natively within the sim with the Digi Aviation LSA-18 and the DG-1001E. It also comes with and I cannot believe they actually called this in the splash screen, a study-level airliner of the Airbus A310-300, along with 24 classic activities, which is essentially the missions that we had in previous iterations of Flight Sim, covering a variety of activities throughout the world, with 4 iconic airports, including 2 airports that are sadly no longer with us in the real world, with the recreation of Hong Kong's Kai Tak, the sadly destroyed Meigs Field in Chicago, along with the iconic rendition of the Princess Juliana International Airport in Saint Martin, and the first flight airport in Kitty Hawk. Now, I've got to admit that I thought this one had actually, the first flight airport, I thought that had actually already been done in one of the US world updates, so I may be wrong on that. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below, but I'm reasonably sure that was already done. Anyway, also includes 7 new tutorial missions as well, specifically focused around gliders to be able to allow you to get the most out of your gliding experience, along with 2 new helicopter practice missions as well. So a lot going on in this update, and this is available as a free update for all Microsoft Flight Simulator users, whether you're on Xbox or PC, available now from in sim. Speaking of the 40th anniversary, though, the community has already been hard at work not only producing liveries, but the team over at Got Friends have come up with an unofficial expansion pack for the 40th anniversary edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator by grabbing some of the 2 of the aircraft and actually giving them a bit more of a bush flying sort of touch. So what the team has done, the team has grabbed the de Havilland DHC-2 Beaver and added in a bush flying variant with bush tires, as well as adding in a ski kit to it and a couple of new additional effects as well, including snow physics when the skis are attached and a low flying dirt effect. So for those of us who enjoy low flying bush flying, this is going to be a must-have expansion add-on. They've also grabbed the DC-3, which is actually provided by Aeroplane Heaven, and added in the new amphibious float variant with 2 liveries, as well as updating the flight model and adding a number of additional effects to the system. They've also announced that they will be expanding this expansion in the future by adding in a JATO takeoff, jet assisted takeoff variant of the DC-3 as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I really want to see somebody make the Basler, but we'll see how that goes. Now, this is a free add-on and free expansion for your 40th anniversary pack, available now from FlightSim.to. Moving now into scenery releases, the team over at Orbix have been busy with their latest city pack, or landmarks pack, with the release of Dublin City Pack. So this gives a detailed rendition of the city of Dublin by adding in over 60 high detailed points of interest, including a number of fairly new features. And the first time, I'm going to go out and limb and say the first time potentially that the team of Orbix have done this by adding in a number of animations to their scenery, including animated vessels throughout the port, animated double-decker tourist buses going across various bridges and driving throughout the city, as well as animated trains across the Tara Street Railway bridge in the city. Now, if you want to add this city pack to your sim, you can add this one for $12 or your original equivalent, available now from Orbix Direct. Continuing on with scenery releases now, the team over at Parallel 42 have continued on with their sort of small footprint airport release scenery and airport releases with the release of 42CM Cedar Mountain. Now, this is very much designed to form part of their philosophy of adding in different content for bush flyers, focusing on bush flying, by adding in a new airport on top of Cedar Mountain, which is just 15 miles from their other airport release, Mexican Mountain, also located in Utah. Includes a 2,000-foot runway, sort of gravel dirt runway with a number of amenities, a windsock, and a number of other different activities to be able for you to do with a variety of vehicles, not just limited to aircraft or helicopters. So if you want to add this one to your collection, you can pick this one up for $8 or your original equivalent, available now from Orbix Direct. Moving out of Microsoft Flight Simulator and moving into the world of X-Plane now, the team over at Boundless have released their latest airport release for X-Plane 11 and 12 with the release of Inverness Airport in the UK. So this gives us a up-to-date airport layout as it appears in 2022 with custom photo imagery for the airport and surrounding areas, all airport buildings modelled with high degree of detail, with a number of number of buildings modelled outside the airport perimeter to increase your immersion. Includes support for the rain and seasonal effects on the ground for X-Plane 12, as well as adding in the Dalcross helipad to the local area. And if you want to pick this one up, you can pick this one up for $16 or your original equivalent, available now from Boundless Simulations. Now, before we leave the flight simulation world, folks, this is a bit of a community public service announcement. It is that time of year again when the team over at NovaWrap have unleashed upon the world their Flight Sim Community Survey. So for those who don't know what it is, the NovaWrap Flight Sim Community Survey is a survey. This is a survey that they do every year, which actually sort of does a bit of a temperature check of the flight simulation community as a whole, and encourages all users of flight simulation, whatever form that may take, to find out how you've been using your flight sim, what you've been excited about, where you get your content from, and what you want to see for the future. The results of this survey are always very, very interesting and are used by developers to actually help them guide their projects and plans into the future. So if you want to be part of shaping the future of flight simulation, I highly recommend that you take this survey. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to fill out. It's really, really simple, very quick and easy to go through. My only problem with the survey is the same problem that I have with them pretty much every year, is that it is very much airliner role player focused. But, make sure if you are not, and if you are part of that community, that's great. But for those of us who are not, it always feels like we are being left out of the picture. So, folks, if you do take this one and you do enjoy aviation of any description, make sure you fill out the survey. And if you do enjoy flight simulation outside of airliners, make sure you give them in the feedback at the end of the survey that you'd like to see a little bit more focus perhaps on the other forms of aviation, that aviation exists outside of tube liners. But as I said, folks, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to have your voice in the future of flight simulation. So head over to NovaWrap to fill out the survey, link in the description down below. All right, moving out of the flight simulation world now and moving into the world of trucks and heavy haulage. The team over at American Truck Simulator released their latest scenery area this week with the release of Texas. Now, Texas is their largest scenery, largest region release to date, and covers off the entire state of Texas, including 29 explorable cities, including Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso, and Galveston. Includes over 50 scenic towns as well as along the way, with over 20,000 miles of road network for you to explore. Includes over 200 industry depots across different industries and a number of famous landmarks, including El Capitan, Route 66, USS Lexington, the Corpus Christi Bridge, and Salt Flats, all modeled in beautiful detail. And if you wanted to add this one to your collection, you can pick this one up for $18 or your original equivalent, available now on Steam. To go with the release of the Texas region, they've also released a Wild West paint job pack, giving you 6 new paint jobs, 5 for your trucks and 1 for a trailer, to give you that Wild West feel as you're cruising the roads of Texas. And if you want to add this one to your collection, you can pick this one up for $2 or your original equivalent, available now on Steam. Moving off the road and moving into more of a city planning phase now, the team over at City Skylines this week have been a bit busy releasing 2 new content packs and 2 new radio packs. So the 2 new content creator packs that have been released now is, the first one is the Heart of Korea, which adds in 60 assets modeled off classic Korean architecture, including 29 low-density residential, 17 high-density commercial, 6 service buildings, and 8 unique buildings. In the other content creator pack, we saw them release Skyscrapers, which gives us that definitely that feel for building vertically in our modern city. Now, this is a sort of globally inspired pack, including a number of buildings across various parts of the world, including North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, and South America, totaling 24 unique skyscrapers and high-rises with 20 different variants inspired by different buildings around the world. And if you want to add either of these content creator packs to your collection, you pick them up for $6 or your original equivalent, available now. In the other 2 releases, I said, was releases of some radio stations, with the release of K-pop station and 80s downtown beats. So just for those who may not know the radio stations for City Skylines, essentially it just adds in some additional music tracks and different radio stations that you can listen to while you get into your city building groove. And if you want to add either of these radio stations to your City Skylines collection, you can pick them up for $4 each, available now on Steam. Moving from the urban sprawl and moving into the rural heartlands now. So this week, the release from Farming Simulator 2 of 2 new expansions. The first one being their Platinum expansion, along with their major game update. So the Platinum expansion gives you a new industry for you to be able to bring to your farming career by adding in a logging experience in Silver Run Forest. It also adds in over 40 new vehicles and tools alongside the new environment, along with a number of new tree species and environmental effects, along with a new gameplay mechanic of tree marking. Additional updates to production chains, missions, and now full support for multiplayer cooperative farming included with this release. And if you wanted to add this one and expand your farming collection, you can pick this one up for $20 or your original equivalent, available now on Steam. And finally, rounding out the NovaWrap for this week, saw this week release from Farming Simulator 2022 with the release of their latest tractor, the release of the Volvo T425 Krabat tractor, which is possibly the most, for me, I look at it and just go, that is what I always imagine a tractor looks like. It's red, it's iconic, and it just is. So there you go. With over 11,000 units produced between 1957 and 62, the T425 was always a favourite among Volvo fans and continues to be found amongst admirers of historical tractors. And as I said, it just looks the part. It really, really does. So if you want to add this one to your farming collection, you can pick this one up for $1 or your original equivalent, available now on Steam. And with that, folks, that does now round out the NovaWrap for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter and on Twitch. Just search NovaWing24. All right, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.